Earth Awakens by Orson Scott Card. This is the third book in the First Formic War trilogy, the prequel to Ender's Game. This book is 468 pages and 28 chapters long. Science fiction, fantasy, space adventure set around Earth. Aliens were discovered in the first book in the trilogy. They showed up to Earth. In the second book, there were landers in the mothership, and then at the end of the second book, the main character Victor, with the help of Imola and support from Lem, they were able to enter the Formic alien ship, and that was how the second book ended. You know, big mystery, big cliffhanger. So that was a big hook to get you started here. I really liked that they were able to slip in undetected. You know, they found a weakness that other people missed in the videos that, you know, the whole world watched. They did bring some explosives with the intent to take down the ship, but really they ended up just doing some recon, taking videos of the inside of the ship in hopes that someone would develop a plan, which Victor ends up developing a plan. So really cool. The other main character, Bingwin, he showed up in the second book and continued through the third. He is with the MOPs, the Mobile Operations Police, the super secret, well, it's not secret. They are the World Special Forces. Instead of the UN peacekeeping, they're more of the action strike force. So whenever it's politically inaccessible to do some type of military action, they can step in. And so global police force, but by a different name. And they did end up blowing up one of the three landers at the end of the last book with the cool technology of the diggers, a nuclear warhead, and the flying tank aircraft, Herc, I believe it was called. Either way, they were able to blow up one of the three landers. So Bingwin's with them is kind of translating their messages into Chinese and assisting them in any way that basically isn't military, you know, isn't combat, right? He can translate, he can provide advice, ideas, that kind of thing. So, but again, he's 8 years old and these super soldiers are listening to him. So really cool there. Lem is kind of like the glue that holds things together and gets people to where they need to be. He offers the resources of Juke Limited. So he's got the money and he's the financer. So he's another main character here, which is a fairly big focus. He kind of is still under the thumb of his father and in his father's shadow. So that part plays out, but really he is the financer. Like, he gets the equipment and the people in the right places. So Mazer is the other main character. He is from the original Ender's Game, right? He's the hero general from the First War. Well, this is the First War, so you get to see his heroics firsthand. He does become more involved with the Mobile Operations Police, even though he failed his entrance exam or selection criteria. But really, he and Bingwin are like on the outside looking in, even though they get treated as full members. The one thing that I really didn't like was the train scene. I felt like it was almost a distraction. Bingwin gets sent to the north, right? Safety, go to school, you know, get away from the landers and all the aliens and stuff. And his, you know, stop the bandits, the train gets stopped by bandits, and he kind of like, you know, I'm one of you, you know, he kind of distracts them. It just, I get that was the, you know, final scene and the hardening of his resolve. I don't know, I wasn't sure. Like, if they had a lander transport that they could use that was an alien ship, why did they park it and take the train? Why didn't they just take the lander all the way to the north? Like, they didn't talk about fuel or anything like that. I mean, literally, the MOPs took a lander transport from China all the way to Finland. So why couldn't, I don't know, it just seemed like it was like almost put in place to have that message. So not a big deal, but that's what I thought of it. The goo also seemed like a distraction. Like, I know that was supposed to be the plot point to build the alliance between China and India, but like I almost felt like the goo tank weapon, it was like that was the first we heard of these, and they had been kind of scouting around and stuff already. So the fact that there was a water tower goo tank just kind of, oh, there it is. Like, I feel like we would have seen some prior to that. So I get why it was there. I don't know. It just didn't seem to register with me. So the parts I did like, Lem's part as a spoiled rich kid, that was on point. I think that was played very well. Even with the, paranoia of the father, one of the parents not being there, like the whole, like, yes, that part was played perfectly, I believe. The MOPs in Zero Gravity, I really liked that, in that Ender's Game had the same concept, right? Like the what is up, what is down, like orienting yourself in 3D space. I really liked that was a thing, and I liked how well that was handled. Simona's part, this is Uko Jukes, the father of the mining empire, his personal assistant. She fell in love with Lem, the son, and the father has a loyalty test, and she fails. And really, I just like her part in general. Her character is told really well, I think, and she has a big part to play, so I liked that. Victor and Imola's relationship, they're younger. Victor's 15 or 16, so like he doesn't have a lot of experience with other, outside of friendship. He doesn't have many adult relationships that aren't parents. So I thought it was handled well. Like, she doesn't, ignore him, she doesn't domineer him, and vice versa. Like, he doesn't take over the relationship, and it just, like, it was a good balance. Like, there was a lot of back and forth and pull and tug, and I think they worked really well as friends, and I'm glad they stayed as friends. So Kim by far is like one of the coolest characters here. I hope that there's like some kind of like happy ending with Bingwen and Kim, that they get to meet and all that stuff. But I like Kim is just an awesome person. So the wives of El Calvador, they, are surviving. They're doing the best they can. And really, that transition would be really difficult, from going from a mining ship to an outpost where nobody speaks your language, and then to a salvaging ship. Like, that transition would be near impossible for any family, let alone a family who had lost half of its members. So the struggle there, to me, felt really real. There was not any part that I felt was like out of place with that. So good job there. And the last part that I really liked was the salvaging. Out in space, you build what you can, you use what you can, and there's going to be parts from derelict ships. So I thought that was on point, that there's like different classifications. They call them crows versus vultures, right? By the intensity level of the salvaging and how ruthless they are. So just that being part of the whole space economy was really clever. I mean, it's a natural progression, but it's not something that I would have thought of. So really cool. One quote here before I go, and this is when Victor and Imola are just outside the mothership. So, we've made a video, that's it. We haven't ended this war, Victor, focus too closely on the goal you haven't accomplished, and you'll fail to notice the victories you achieve along the way. Who said that? Churchill? Sun Tzu? No, my father. Victor's father was a mechanic, and he learned, take things one step at a time. And that quote really resonated with me. Like, focus on what you did achieve, do some good things, like keep it rolling. So I liked that they did, I don't want to call them baby steps because they were giant leaps for mankind, but like they took an impossible problem and broke it down into simpler steps and tried to approach it one chunk at a time. And of course, those chunks were giant leaps, but again, great book, great series, lots of fun, space adventure. If you enjoyed Ender's Game, absolutely read this series. It is a great one. And buy your books used if you can.